The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
All right, everybody, welcome to the 9 Years podcast. Nick Draper here with Stuart Deakins, as always, and we've launched straight into that intro, and I have absolutely no idea what else I meant to say at this point. So this could be fun. I suppose I should start with the theme song, or intro music. Again, 90s theme, so if you recognise this song, just drop us the song title and the artist to our Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. Last week, a few of you did this. We shall go through the names of the people that were first at some point during the show today, and as well as that, we will have discussion about the Gillingham game. Neil's cockless pears will come back if I can say it properly. We have our goal of the month poll result, some unnecessary censors making their return this week, and look ahead to the visit of Scunthorpe on Saturday. But Stu, I suppose we'll start with Gillingham, I guess. Makes sense, doesn't it? What would you like to talk about? It's at this point I realise I launched straight into recording. We could have just stopped, couldn't we? We could have just stopped and started again. But I thought, no, let's go. And then I realised I had no idea what I was saying or where I'm going with anything. Let's just crack on. So, yeah, Gillingham. Okay, Neil Ardley said it was a classic away performance.
Well, I don't know about classic. End of the day, the scoreline is all that really counts at this stage of the season, isn't it? So, 1-0. Classic in terms of a classic away performance of, you know, getting the only goal of the game, stopping them from doing anything, stopping them from getting any sort of pressure, or their fans getting any, well, the fans having any hope, because everything coming out of Gillingham at the moment just sounds, a bit depressing for them, doesn't it?
What has ever come out of Gillingham of any worth or value? Danny Kedwell, perhaps? It might be the only thing.
Yeah. Hey, look, I didn't go to the game. Obviously, I know you and the guys were there. I watched the game on iFollow because, because you could.
You're ruining football.
Well, it was a tenner, so it was nice.
That makes it all right. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. It was cheap.
Everybody has a price.
Do you know what? I really did enjoy it. iFollow's changed in terms of its advance from last year. It was nice to have Mikey T on Radio WDON on a commentary. That was really nice to be able to hear his expert commentary. He's got it down to a fine art now. But the sound did drop out sometimes. But on the whole, I thought it was a good value for £10, and it's always better, of course, when you win a game.
Which has taken us really well away from the original point, which was... So,
there was nothing else to talk about the game.
No, there really wasn't. It was not a good game at all. There was very little quality on show. I mean, should we be expecting more of these types of games away from home this season? I don't think it's a one-off by any stretch of the imagination, to be honest. I think we're just a little bit short. Despite what you'd think looking at the team on paper at times, in reality, we seem a little short on quality.
Well, Joe, I think it was very much a game. It wasn't a must-win game, but I think it was a must-not-lose game. I've said quite a lot of times, talking about this, that you can't afford to have them four defeats on a spin, 5 defeats on a spin. No matter how much you think the team's done well in recruitment this year and the chances it's creating, you can't keep affording to lose a game. So I think there was a more pragmatic approach to the game, and if we balance it out, last season we played roughly around about this time of the season. We played Gillingham at home, didn't we, in midweek? And we battered them, absolutely battered them, and ended up having a 1-1 draw. So sometimes it is a results business, and I think this team. I don't know what to say. It's not for. I think it's probably one of the best teams potentially we've had, especially in League One. But it's got to start from somewhere, and I think sometimes you've got to stop the rot We've now got a couple of games coming up that you think we've got some good chance of picking up some points. And also the good thing about it now is we're not playing Saturday, Tuesday. All right, I know we have a game in the midweek, but that's basically a glorified friendly. But we should now be able to get onto the training field and really start getting this squad to gel.
I think it's an important point that this time last year, roughly this time last year, we actually went away to Blackburn and won 1-0. So it was a 1-0 away win. But whereas that win at Blackburn was a fantastic result, I don't think it was in any way indicative or reflective of our season. Whereas I think this victory might well be, in the context of this season, against a team that we think they were woeful, to be honest with you. They were very, very poor. So we put them in the bottom 6 to 8. As you say, it's not a must-win. No game is a must-win at this stage of the season. But a lot of questions would be asked of us if we hadn't been able to dig that one out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and also we have to remember sometimes is that we've gone for a younger squad. So Neil Hardy made a big point on the summer going that we did let a lot of the older players go, and we brought in youngsters. So bringing in youngsters is fine, but they also are getting people like Civic and Watson and Pinnock. They're very much, if they're in a team that's losing games, they are. I would say, I will say they will probably tend to hide a little bit. So that's why it's important not to get the run of defeats. It's, giving them a bit of confidence and getting used to League One football, which I think they're all getting used to. But yeah, sometimes you've just got to get a performance in, and we have got a young team, so we have to probably appreciate with a young team there could be some inconsistencies. But you're right, we went to Blackburn and won, didn't we? And it was a little bit of a runner. Wasn't not many people went to Blackburn last year and got 3 points. I would argue that quite a few teams will go to Gillingham this year and come away with at least something. I think they look terrible.
Yeah, a few teams have already, to be honest with you. It's really, really poor, actually, surprisingly so, although Josh Parker, I think, is actually an important player for them. Dean Parrott was injured as well. Neither of those two available on Saturday, which might have made things different. We don't know. Doesn't matter. We won the game. We won the game because, unlike Burton, we didn't make any silly mistakes. We didn't make any mistakes, really, defensively. Or admittedly, we probably weren't asked anywhere near as many questions. But, crucially, we scored. We took our chance. We came out, start the second half. We looked like the team that wanted to go and win the game in that first 15 minutes of the second half. And when you're on top like we were at that stage, you've got to score. And we did. However, if Joe Pigott wasn't playing for us right now, would we have scored?
Hey, always a very difficult question to answer, isn't it? He's on form at the moment, so what's that? 5 goals at the moment. Is that 3 in the league, isn't it? And then 2 in the cups.
Yeah.
Hey, look, he's carried on his form for the end of last year. So he's very much, we did a poll on Sunday for our Love Sport Radio Wimbledon show, and we asked the question who would be your number one forward on the pitch, and of course Joe Pigott was that one. I mainly asked it to see really who would be your second choice by default, and that come out as being James Hansen. James Hansen probably won't get you loads of goals, but what he will do is he will give Joe Pigott a lot of opportunities this year if they play them two together, because he's a very experienced player, and I think Joe Pigott will work very well off him, and I think that partnership will potentially get goals quite a lot for him.
James Hansen was splitting opinion in the away end on Saturday.
He will do.
I think it's noticeable, though, that after he went off, we offered very little threat. So he went off about the hour mark after we'd obviously got the goal, and we didn't really create anything after that, if I'm being honest. I can't think of anything. A couple of shots from distance, nothing else. So do you think a lot of what he does in a Tom Suarez type way just goes unnoticed?
Yeah, hey, look, he's not. I still think he'll weigh in. I would hope he'll get into double figures. I probably might think he might get into maybe the 7s, 8s, or 9s maybe this season. But what I will say, he'll probably get quite a lot of assists. Sorry. Yeah, I noticed on Saturday he come out to the halfway line sometimes to just drag his defenders away. The defender come up to halfway line and does a midfielder pick him up. A lot of times left Joe Pigott 1-on-1 with defenders at the back. So he's a very clever player. And I know I saw a tweet of someone saying he's not scored hardly any goals over the last 2 years. he has been injured. He did go to Bury. No one done well at Bury. I think everyone went there for the money. I think I'll be honest in that. So I think there's some things you have to ignore with his recent record. But yet the crossbar, if that had gone in, he had a good shot against Charlton. He will get his goal. But I would say now that Joe Pigott will probably be one of his biggest plaudits because he knows he's getting quite a lot of freedom for the work that James Hansen's doing.
James Hansen is our new Carl Lieber.
Well, there's only one Carl Lieber, is there? What I would say, though, Nick, is I did think we made the wrong sub on Saturday. I did think, actually, Jake Jervis would have been a better sub because he would run in behind and run the channels. And, Gillingham pushed up quite a bit, didn't they, late on? And Quezzy's not going to do that. And we're not going to turn this into a Quezzy half an hour. We did that already on the fan show on Sunday night. But I think Jake Jervis would have been a better sub, pacing behind. Would have really stretched the game a little bit because you're right, nothing really happened. We had 3 and 4 subs, which is worrying because the pitch was so shocking on Saturday. And it was we closed the game out very comfortably for a game at Gillingham.
You say we had 3 in 4 subs?
3 enforced.
Oh, enforced. I was trying to figure out 3 in 4. So what?
Yeah, how's that work? No, well, obviously, Saw's. They said it was a very spongy pitch, a very soft pitch, and I think we had a few calf and hamstring injuries, which you can on that sort of pitch. So hopefully we haven't picked up too. Hopefully they were just knocks and stuff, and when they get on a proper pitch at the Meadow of Kings on Saturday, they'll be fine.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't want to, as you say, go on about Quezzy or anything like this. There was one instance in the second half where he did run the channel, as you say, sort of on the counter-attack. I think he was being chased by... I'm going to have to look up the name now. The name's totally escaped me. But one of the centre-halves was chasing him. It was like someone had put it on your old VHS player, when you can watch it in half speed. That's what it felt like I was watching. I don't mean... people will probably say that sounds really disrespectful. I'm just saying... I'm saying what I saw.
With Quezzy, Quezzy's a very confident character. I was fortunate enough to have an evening with him at the end of last season when the sponsors meal.
Really?
He was on the table with me and
Blimey.
George Long.
Wow.
But he's a very confident character. So I think with Quezzy at the moment, it's putting that confidence that he has off the pitch into how he plays on the pitch. And I just think we have to adapt, and maybe he has to adapt how he plays the game. He will weigh in with goals, there's no doubt about that. But at the moment, I wouldn't put him as first choice. I'd put him from coming off the bench. Very much like, remember I've always said to you about when we can do 2 subs, when we can do 2 forwards for 2 forwards. It's one of the best tactics that Neil Ardie uses. And I think if we can use that majority of the season, I don't think we'll be far off finishing where we, mid-table, which is probably going to be our objective this year.
Yes, it all comes back to the win strikers. It all comes back to me for Joe Pigott, though. And if Joe Pigott stops scoring, we're in trouble. Where do we look elsewhere in the team for goals? Because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing goal threats from Wagstaff or Wordsworth or Trotter or Swords, to be honest with you, or Bartram, to be honest.
Well, Bartram doesn't... I'm trying to think how many goals Bartram weighed in with last year. A handful, was that right? If he...
Yeah,
no more than 5 last year, if I remember properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bartram doesn't... I remember a few of the goals he scored last year, but he needs competition. I think he's got that this year. Trotter and Swords in midfield, that's not really going to be... Swords says he scores those goals that he scored against Charlton every week. That's been a bit of a fun... bit of banter from the players and the management team, isn't it, about that, which is nice to see. I think there is goals. I think there's goals in Pinnock. I think there's goals in Wordsworth, definitely. He's not playing enough. That's a problem. Wordsworth's not. I think Wordsworth probably had, a couple of starts, but we're coming up close to 10 games of the season now if you count the league games, count the League Cup, and that is not much for a look in. Wagstaff, I think there's enough. I wouldn't say there's a 6, 7, 8 goals from them, but Pigott. I think the thing with Pigott at the moment is that one thing I would be looking at is tying him up on a longer contract, because we all know that clubs out there, as soon as they start to see players scoring goals, they're sniffing around, and I believe he might be out of contract at the end of the season. So I'm hoping that we're looking maybe to secure him a better deal, because I think he's deserved it.
I mean, he's a goal scorer. That's basically. I know that sounds really stupid to say, but the winner on Saturday was him. I mean, you used the phrase about clubs sniffing around him. He gets that because he's sniffing a chance out, and the goal. It's just a nothing. It's a nothing ball, isn't it, from Deji, sort of over the top. The defender's hesitant in a sort of. It was almost reminiscent of Will Nightingale away at Burton. Centre half was a little bit hesitant, perhaps. Striker gets a run in and takes advantage of a goalkeeper, perhaps being a bit slow off his line. But like you were saying earlier, if Kwesi's playing, he's not getting that chance. Hansen's not going to get himself in those positions. Which
no, yeah.
No, go on.
I was going to say Jervis might do. I think, Joe, I think of Pigott, when we signed him, if you look back at a lot of his goals for Maidstone and when he'd been on loan at Newport and places like that, Southend, you could see that he was a very good natural finisher. You could see that. Some of the goals scored. Like, we haven't really seen him take many free kicks for Wimbledon. Say that when you're drunk. But actually, he's got. If you look at some of the goals he scored. You look at some of the goals he scored for Maidstone. A lot of free kicks. He was their main free kick taker. So he's a really good natural finisher. And the goal on Saturday, I don't know about you, but when he passed the keeper, that wasn't the easiest of chances to put away. There was a player on the line, and he actually finished it really comfortably. And the goals he scored this year, there's some cracking finishes. The goals against Sunderland, the goal against West Ham, the header against Pompey. Yeah, he's a natural finisher.
Yeah, they're all different types of goals, aren't they?
Yeah, but he just... Hey, look, do you know what? I went on record over the summer saying I felt he needed to get, not bulk up, but be a bit stronger. I felt he was being muzzled off the ball a little bit. Full-time training, he desperately needed that. And he's obviously done a lot of work during the summer. And all the ones, he's always been a potential player. So if you remember, we took Michael Smith on loan from Charlton. He was also one of the players. I believe, I remember properly, the rumour was that we actually were looking at him as well. There was two of them that could carry it on loan, and we took Michael Smith, and obviously we know what happened with that. But Pigott's had potential for years, and hey, look, Joe, what we might be lucky now and actually be, benefiting from being patient and getting him at the right time from Maidstone.
What did you make of Rob McDonald? Came in for Will at centre half.
Yeah, he needed that performance. I thought he was a bit of a headless chicken against West Ham, and obviously he got the early sending off. I think he just needed. I think we needed a clean sheet. I thought him and Deji looked very comfortable to get together. I don't know really what really Gillingham chucked our way, if I'm being honest with you. But whatever they did, he dealt with well. And I think it was. I thought Will. I would have taken Will out the firing line. I think Will just needs a little bit of a. I say a break's harsh, but had a lot of games, some tough games. And I think that probably be my partnership at the moment. Him and Deji and Rod. I think it looks quite solid.
Now, many criticisms continue to be levelled from various fans at Neil Ardley for whatever reason. People have their reasons. We spent a podcast last season sort of going through pros and cons and what have you, and of course nobody's perfect. But one thing I think gets overlooked is what a good job he does with individuals. And I was thinking about Deji, because you mentioned the centre-half pair in there and brought his name up, and it just reminded me. So Deji was at Gillingham, and it didn't work out for him there. But he looks for us like he's far too good for this level. By level, I think people sometimes tend to block it in divisions. I think that's probably unfair. But he's certainly a top 6 League One, bottom half championship type player, isn't he? And do we not give Neil Ardley enough credit for that sometimes, about getting the best out of players?
Yeah, I don't think we do. And people will say, yeah, but it's the old Cardiff link, and Neil's always gone back for his Cardiff boys. Well, yeah, he would do. I can understand that. He obviously had Deji at Cardiff along with Jonathan Meads and saw their potential very early on. When we had Deji on loan, I think we always realised he was athletically very good, wasn't he? But was still. There's always a wonder. He can't be no more than 5'10", 5'11". You always wondered, would he be a good centre half because he might get out jumped and stuff. I've gone on record. I didn't think he was our player. I didn't personally think he was our player of the year last year. I thought Lara was. I thought Deji was very, very good, but I thought Darius in some situations, led the back line. And I thought Darius was very much the leader. This year, though, Deji, I think he's taken the captaincy on board very well. Again, I think he's getting himself very fit. He's developing. And Deji this year is my player of the year by a mile. I think
we're 8 games in. We're like 8 games.
Yeah,
no,
I know.
9 games.
Okay, so I'm being maybe a little bit dramatic. But do you know
premature?
What? That's probably the word. But he started off like a house on fire. Like I've been really. I've always felt Deji's had some weaknesses in his games in terms of his decision making and can sometimes dribble out a little bit too much and get caught with the ball. But this year, I can definitely see why championship teams are looking at him. I was a little bit resigned that we were going to lose him. You know, when we obviously were asked the question, I was a little bit like,
we basically made it the main subject of a podcast. We were convinced he was gone.
Yeah, and I think that was just because I didn't want to get too excited Deji staying, if I'm being honest with you, because we can tell what a talent we've got. You know, he's had a great summer. Now we've got him. I'm really excited now, and I'm going to start, being able to enjoy Deji being here at least till January. But he's out. He's our first name on the sheet, isn't he? By a mile, and it's really getting a partnership with him. I think Will and Rod will fight it out over the season. I don't think Will is second choice by any stretch, but I think it's Rod's position now to lose.
We can't have McDonald and Nightingale in the same team because Willie and Rod would be far too much. Well, I can't say what I was about to say. To some people.
And also, what I say, obviously, Ron McDonald joined us on our Wimbledon fan show on Love Sport on Sunday night. So, if you haven't heard that, do listen to it on demand from the Love Sport Radio website. But it's the first time I've heard him talk about marking Hernandez. I'm sorry, or Chico, whatever they call him. The
Chico?
Mexican kid. What they call him? Chico? I don't know. Chico time, isn't it? Yeah. The Mexican kid, that one up front, but
Amazing.
It's the first time I've actually heard anyone ask questions about it. Of course, it's not when he got sent off. It's not as if our media team was going to be the first one to go and say, "Well, how did you feel about that?" But he did say that the movement from West Ham was just ridiculous, and I think
Hernandez certainly had the X factor.
Well, he didn't. He couldn't stand up too much, could he either? But yeah, I think he come in very much trying to impress. But do you know what? All he's got to do is just do the basics right, and you can see he's got enough ability, and I think it'll be a good partnership. But Will knocking on the door will be great competition.
Right, sorry. Chikorito, not Chico. But,
that's it, Chico time.
I couldn't, no, I just can't believe it. Of all the celebrities, in inverted commas, that have been mentioned on this show, really?
Well, it is X Factor time of the year, isn't it? So
every bloody week is X Factor time. It never goes away. Anyway, we have to touch on the referee. That sounds wrong. Nick Kinsley, I think his name was. It's horrendous. One of the worst referees I've seen. Fortunately, he will not be considered one of the worst I've ever seen because it didn't influence the result in any way. He didn't affect the game in that sense. It was just terrible. He just got decision after decision wrong for both sides. I think we could have had, they could have had a player sent off early. I'm not sure it was a red card, if I'm being honest. I think it's a booking. But there were other things. A penalty perhaps on Wagstaff. Some dodginess with Pigott in the second half. There's a bit of a crowd scene around him. There was flip side to that. We'd get some 50-50 decisions. You'll be thinking, how's the referee worked that one out? Including Deji actually giving Tommy Hughes a piggyback for about 10 yards. And the ref just saying, yep, fine, just carry on. It was annoying because I think in the very first couple of minutes, he should have played an advantage. He was so quick on his whistle to give a foul. He didn't realise the advantage. And we were in and away in on goal almost. And you think, fair enough, it's early in the game. You hope he'd spotted that. Do you know what I mean? He'd have realised that. But then he does it throughout the game anyway. He doesn't learn from that mistake. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And one of the things that I'm noticing this year is I'm tending to remember referees more, but also I can't remember a decent ref we've had. I know it's League One, so I know you tend to, as much as sometimes you don't have the best players in your league, you sometimes don't have the best referees as well. But I'm tending to now, when I watch TV, thinking, yeah, remember that ref? He was rubbish. That ref, remember, he was rubbish. I don't really want to remember referees. I'd rather remember decent players being down at our place. I think the Deji, do you know what? That Deji challenge, I think, probably looks worse if you slow it down, and they always tend to do that, don't they? But I thought he'd lost control of the ball. He was reckless. He was high as well. I think I would not have been Hey, look, if that had been us, I'd have said, you know what, we've done well to keep our player on the pitch because I think it was a really bad challenge. And anyone else, Deji, if there's anyone else or any other team saying that, I think they've been rolling around making a lot more of a song and dance about that than Deji did. He just basically just got up, didn't he, afterwards after a bit of treatment. Penalty, I thought it was. Wagstaff got his body in front and the player just went for the back of him. Yeah, it wasn't great. And in the end, it was when you get both sets of fans applauding decisions, you sort of know the referee hasn't got a clue what he's doing.
No. Sadly, I wouldn't say they didn't know what they were doing. So that's maybe a bit harsh and maybe a bit of an unfair segue into this. But another issue we had on Saturday was tickets in the away end, because we are told from our correspondent that Gillingham were expecting 600. And in fact, since then, many people have actually said that they spoke to, because there was a bit of a delay getting in for many fans because they'd run out of physical tickets. And they were told something to expect no more than 550, I think. We have to work out who's having these discussions, because that's the second Saturday in a row in which the club we are visiting were underprepared for the numbers we were bringing in. It shouldn't surprise... Well, okay, I say it shouldn't surprise anyone. I was estimating about 800, I guess, away at Gillingham, just because it's a ground, we've done many times before. It's not the greatest place to go, but it is very, very easy to get to. So, yeah. Under like surely we're expecting more than 500. It seems to be... I don't know where they're getting information from.
Well, yeah, we got it wrong, haven't we, for the last 2 weeks. Burton, we took more than what Burton expected, even though they didn't want to open up behind the goal. We discussed that. So, and it causes problems. It causes problems, doesn't it? When they run out of tickets, they don't segregate it well. Last year, midweek, they gave us behind the goal and then also along the side. I believe this time they just gave us behind the goal, didn't they? And that lovely scaffolding stand that I just don't understand how it even passes the safety certificate sometimes with that. How would you work it out? I'm guessing you would work out maybe what we've taken there before on similar Saturdays. I know we played a midweek, didn't we, last time? But to say we're only going to take 550 for what is really one of our local games, I find that surprising. And whoever, I don't know who obviously provides that information from the club, but their forecasting hasn't been great.
No, although I'm not going to have anyone or have a go at anyone for their poor forecasting if you follow me on the Oscar Prediction League this season. But anyway, League One. Elsewhere, last week we picked out 2 games. We wanted to look at the derby game, as you termed it, between Plymouth and Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, classic that, wasn't it?
Looked like it. 0-0 there, but both teams really struggling to get going this season. And Charlton Wycombe, the Lyle Taylor versus Bayoak Fenwell. Well, Lyle Taylor won that one hands down. Charlton won 3-2. Lyle scored again. Lyle has scored as many goals this season for Charlton as our entire team have in League One.
Yeah, but then Lyle keeps getting tap-ins. Lyle must be thinking, this is great. I moved to a decent team, can't really afford to get any bins or turn the lights off, or keep the lights on maybe. But his lights are certainly on when he's in the 6-yard area. Because
look at that. Don't you love it? Amazing.
Don't you love that?
Amazing.
But yeah, he's had 2 tap-ins at home, and he can't. Even I can score from there.
Steady.
So, no, yeah, he has, and he must be feeling pretty good with himself at the moment. And I'm pleased for Lyle, and obviously he's going to get his hair done in pink for. Is it November? I don't know when it's going to be for. Is it this month or next month? October. So I can see obviously the fundraiser is going really well for him, which is really good. But yeah, Charlton, it was 3-2. It wasn't. I don't think it was really that close in the end, was it? I think it was a late consolation from Wycombe and Plymouth. Bristol both struggling. Plymouth down the bottom, doing exactly what I did last year. Bristol Rovers, I think the locals are really starting to really get on the back of their manager now. They can't score goals. And I'm drastically going to look at the league, the fixtures to see where we got both home teams.
I'm not sure you're drastically going to do it. You might be maybe frantically.
Well, frantically, I know we've got Bristol coming up very soon I know we've got Plymouth coming up very soon because we're down the neck of the woods beginning of October, and I think Bristol Rovers in midweek, isn't it? So we've got both of them teams coming up in October. Let's just get them as quick as we can because at the moment they're there for the taking.
How many tap-ins did Lyle Taylor score for us? And is there not a wider discussion to be had about this?
A very much wider discussion about it, because that's as far as Lyle never got into the 6-yard area.
That's exactly it.
So, yeah, Lyle is doing basically what he's good at. He's just scoring goals. That's what Lyle does. I think we could have It's frustrating, but we move on. We've now got the pig up front. So I think, you know what, Lyle's moved on to pastures new, and we've done quite well out of really what wages we're spending. I'm quite happy with our forward line. I know we're not scoring loads of goals, but when you look at our forward line from this year to last year, I think we've made an improvement.
Of course, this talk about Lyle Taylor and moving on, totally forgot to mention Barry Fuller from the Gillingham game, who was...
Did you? How did that happen?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, let's talk about how that happened. So Barry Fuller won the Gillingham Man of the Match award. I think that's more a comment on how bad Gillingham were, to be honest with you. Not that they had a bad game, but nothing spectacular, I didn't think. How do you think Barry Fuller is actually going to be remembered? Because there was so much to the point of it was too much in the build-up to the game, I felt, about playing against Barry Fuller again and what have you. I know he had many seasons with us and was captain when we won promotion and everything like that, but I don't know how he'll be remembered, to be honest with you. I don't know if I felt relation... I don't think relations soured, perhaps, but I think last season was... It was sad, wasn't it, I suppose, in a way, because it was certainly one season too many for him with us. And I think I think people fell out of love a little bit, I guess.
A little bit. Him and Robbo both had one season too many, but him and Robbo are both different players. It's interesting if you. Yeah, I know.
What have you just?
What I mean by that is that you hear that Barry Fuller and Paul Robinson very well respected by their fellow pros, so nobody will have a bad word to say about Barry Fuller in terms of supposed to be a really good captain, but was never he was never a captain that you went out and went, wow, he on the pitch you saw that very big character, always chatting. He was a very quiet captain, and I think people did struggle to really associate with him. Whereas Paul Robinson, again, very well respected by his fellow pros, but talked like a captain, talked like a very experienced player. It was a little bit over OTT, if I'm being honest with you. It was the Barry Fuller Cup, it felt like. I think it's right to celebrate what he did for us. I don't know if he's been soured. It's season too many, but you have to, when you look at the in terms of as captain, what he was able to celebrate in terms of the Wembley promotion and lifting up the playoff trophy. He played in a very important time for us. But as an inspirational captain, I don't think he is going to be remembered as that by the fans, but I think he will be by players that he was captain for.
I quite happily sang his name on Saturday when, in injury time, he decided for the first time in his life, whilst on the pitch during a Wimbledon game, he was going to shoot. And they had every single player up for a corner. The ball came out to him. Their goalkeeper was still in the box. Their goalkeeper is legitimately 9'5", and Barry decided, I'm going to shoot from 25 yards, right over the bar, and the whole away end started singing his name.
The thing with captains, you think about it, to give another comparison, Danny Kedwell, former captain, always, he will always be loved and had that connection, didn't he? That's just the difference. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Barry Fuller just didn't connect, in my opinion, and definitely not with me, as a captain for the club. Whereas, people like Danny Kedwell and that will be probably well remembered or well more loved, if that's fair.
One thing about Barry Fuller that I've always amazed at is how he seems to have got away with the elbow smash in the playoff semi-final, which basically broke the other guy's jaw. And
it wasn't good,
he lost teeth. He had to go into surgery, have an operation on it and everything. And it's sort of got, let's just say it's not celebrated in the way that Ben Thatcher's was, but it's not condemned in the way that perhaps John Fashionu's was.
No, and maybe it was a bad lighting at Accrington that got him away with it.
Brilliant excuse there. You should go back to school with excuses like that.
Someone turn the lights on.
But yeah, I was just surprised that sort of didn't get pounced on more a little bit. But
it was a bad challenge, there's no doubt about that.
What was also bad... Oh, sorry, I forgot one thing before I even move on. Dan, that was a fairly decent segue as well. Carl Robinson Oh dear. He's not very good, is he? Can we just say that, as much as this is going to sound wrong in a philosophical way, I suppose, but if ever a club and an individual were made for each other, him and Milton Keynes seem to be that combination, because he managed to get them up into the Championship, but he's just not very good.
He's good. I think he's doing well. I think he's doing a great job there, and I actually will be disappointed if Oxford dare sack him. They can't sack him. Carl Robson must stay, so we can all savour how good he is, or how good he thinks he is as a Football League manager. I tell you, I did laugh. I don't know if you watched the game, but they were talking about a celebration apparently they've been planning. So Mackie up front for Oxford. Apparently, when he wants to score down the end where they've forgotten to build another stand, and climb over the fence to do a celebration, and then someone will let him in through the gate. And I was laughing because I was thinking most of the Oxford fans must be open. They all jump over the fence and no one knows the gate. They lock it behind them and get another team in. But yeah, apparently that's a celebration they want to do. I was like, that's a bit random.
Yes. The thing is, the daft thing about that is their actual team isn't too bad on paper. It's actually very good. They've got a bit of a strong spine in that team. So they are seriously underperforming. We shall lay the blame of that at the manager. Oxford are a club that I wouldn't say I like Oxford. I don't care, to be honest with you. I'm kind of indifferent. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of theirs by any stretch, but I certainly don't want them. I wouldn't wish ill on them that I do now that Carl Robinson is there.
I think they've wasted quite a bit of money as well. They got quite a decent fee for Kimo Roof when he went to Leeds, and they invested that in Hemmings, who's now gone down to Mansfield. I noticed they brought Hemmings down from Dundee, if I remember properly, and he wasn't too good. I think that team there's been a fair bit of money spent on that Oxford team over the years. And you're right, they've got some decent players, but they are not performing. Maybe it just comes down to being a manager being rubbish. Probably does. What I did notice, I don't know if you, again on the commentary said commentary had a windfall from Madison going to Leicester. Apparently, they had a £2 million worth of a sell-on clause, which is now why we know they wouldn't be able to got Chaplin from Pompey for $500,000. But £2 million sell-on fee, very good business by Coventry.
All makes sense. Who was that you said went to Dundee?
Hemmings come down from Dundee. So Hemmings come down from Dundee, went to Oxford, had a real bad season. So they got rid of Kimo Roof to Leeds. Hemmings come for quite a lot of money. And is now at Mansfield, who again wastes money after money after money. So, Oxford have wasted quite a lot of money in that team, and Carl Robinson is just benefiting from that and doing exactly the same as everyone else has done. Long live him, and please do not sack him, not at least before he's come back down to our place.
And after all that, I'm still going to make the joke because I've waited so long to say it. Did Hemmings, when he travelled down from Dundee, was he gorging on Toblerone and driving in his bare feet?
Well, you just waited to set it up.
Oh, yeah, blimey.
If I'd known, I'd have given you a chance, but I didn't realise you were going there.
I don't think anyone's ever spoken in one sentence for such a long time in the history of life before. Anyway.
You know me. I get excited about these things sometimes.
That's a soundbite for later in the show. Someone who does also talk far too much is Chris Sutton, a very irritating man, a horrendous pundit. I want to slap him in the face. However, he'd at least provided us with something for this week's clip from 606, because there's no Kirsty Gallagher. There wasn't even a proper 606 because it was international weekends. It was Jason Mohammed, who is Welsh, but don't hold that against him, and Chris Sutton. And here is the return of unnecessary censors. So enjoy.
What we're going to do now is we're going to try and be friends because we've had a bit of a row live on air. I'm looking to make up. Do you want to shake hands?
Yeah.
Come on, shake hands. I like with you. I really do. But I just wish you'd do a bit more homework.
Call me by my first name. That would help.
I called you Chris. On the yeah, okay. But I think we're friends now. We've shaken hands, by the way.
I think we're friends.
Okay.
In your opinion.
We are friends, anyway. Yeah. I mean, I'm friends with anyone who my when we leave studio. Do you remember that the first time we met? You my the train.
You asked me to.
No, didn't. You offered.
Yes, you did.
You offered.
You're so big time.
I can't believe that bloke has scored that great goal. That one great goal.
And now it's time for your favourite time of the week. It is Neil Coxless Pears. And every single time I look at this on my script, I look at Neil as in Neil Cox's Pairs, and I think I spelt Neil wrong. But no, I haven't. I spelt Neil correctly for Neil Cox. Of course, Neil Lardley spells his name with an A, which people still cannot seem to get right, which is bizarre.
Cool, I can't wait.
Great interlude, that. Yep, cool story, bro. Right, Neil Cox's Pairs. This week, it is Wimbledon players that have become managers.
Okay.
It's sort of random that I went for this. I just thinking Stuart McCall and Neil Ardley will meet in the dugout on Saturday, and I thought, they were both players in the Premier League, of course.
Yeah, and Stuart McCall still has one of the funniest things I've ever seen with him falling off a car when he was absolutely paralytic after him getting promoted. Still the funniest thing I've seen for ages.
And so Wimbledon players that have gone on to be managers. Let's start, Stu, with a striker who famously trampled a lot of scumbag Watford players in the mid-90s.
That would be Mickey Arford.
It was indeed. And then the second half is a type of hat with an indented crown widely associated with American gangsters and prohibition.
I don't do hats.
You don't do hats. Of all the people in the world that doesn't do hats.
No, because I just don't really have a head for it. Well, I have a head for it. That sounded wrong, didn't it?
Oh, my word.
Oh, dear. Mickey Harford for the... I ain't got a clue.
Mick Harfordora.
Oh, I knew that.
Clearly. Mick Harfordora. Yeah, bit of a tongue twister, but it kind of works. Right, second one, midfielder who was part of our Football League promotion-winning squad, who famously scored twice away at Ebbsfleet in the FA Cup.
That'd be, Sammy Atton. Sammy Moore.
Brilliant.
Sammy Atton didn't even say any two words.
Oh, that's our turf mill for the season.
Oh, dear. I so wanted to go, but yeah, Sammy Atton didn't say two words, did he? But Sammy Moore certainly did.
I say that's our turf middle of the season. I've completely forgotten. John Fashion, New Backstreet Boys.
I know. This game has not been good for me.
No, I don't think you're going to get this one. Sammy Moore, and then the name of Lawrence Fishburne's character in The Matrix.
I watched The Matrix, but whether I can remember the character... Was that Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, wasn't it?
Keanu Reeves was in The Matrix.
Yeah, but I don't know what his character was, or not even that. Was that? No, I don't know, but I'll go for Sammy Moore.
Sammy Morpheus.
Oh, damn.
Which, I mean, we could go...
That rings a bell now.
Well, it will do. We could go for many tangents with this one. We could go with Orpheus, of course, was a classic song by Ash, one of my favourite bands, and films. I mean, we could do... I was thinking, Stu, we really should do like a movie review. I've watched some good films this week. Do you know what I watched this week? Casablanca. What a film. That might be the best film ever made. Genuinely. It's that good. I can't believe how good it was.
I don't really watch films anymore. I like watching more like the series, like the Netflix, where you can watch a whole... I was having this conversation, very off topic, but I've been watching The Bodyguard on BBC One, which is
amazing.
Quite good.
Quite good?
Yeah, it's quite good. I don't understand. I'm a bit lost after this week, so I won't spoil people that are not watching it. But I'm a little bit frustrated because I can't watch the next episode until next Sunday.
Yes.
That feels a little bit like I'm being cheated.
Oh, no. You see, this is a problem with modern day society, is that we are a nation of people who get instant gratification, and having to wait for something is very, very important in life. So we actually need more of this. Do you know, I mean, remember the days when if you wanted to buy an album or a song or anything, you hear it on the radio, you'd have to wait, you'd have to get into the town centre to go and buy it. But waiting doesn't do you no harm. It's an important life lesson that unfortunately more and more children will never get.
You sort of wonder whether that would go into the football world, wouldn't you? When sort of like, Netflix, you can watch a whole series. I suppose you'll get people going up later in life going, well, I can't watch a whole season in sort of like 1 week.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But no, I feel cheated. I have to wait. I'm a bit confused on The Bodyguard at the moment, but there's some really good programs on it. Yeah, but I don't really watch films. I enjoy watching like a Netflix series of like, I don't know, 16, 17 episodes in one day, if I can, rather than watching a film of, well, maybe not
16 or 17 episodes in a day.
Well, maybe a week. Although I did remember watching 24. I used to, by the way, laugh at Chris, your brother, because he used to love 24, and I kept thinking, stupid idea. And then I watched one of them on Netflix, and I think I watched all 7 series in about a 3 or 4 month period. And then I was really disappointed at the end of it because I just felt like I had nothing else to watch.
We've all been there. Do you know what mine was? The one that this is so embarrassing. The series that I put on a box set and watched pretty much non-stop until I'd seen it all.
Go on.
The OC.
Oh.
Can't believe I just admit to that. Now, there was a Rachel Bilson factor involved in this. Of course, Rachel Bilson, who is the original Alexa Bliss, if you will. But, yeah, that's a good... If I was to watch that back now, bear in mind, this is going back to when I was at uni, so scarily.
Okay.
6 years ago, because I'm 24 now. But if I was to watch it back now, I'd probably think, what the hell is this? Horrendous television.
Yeah. My one was Nashville. I watched Nashville, like, all backs. All country western music, but yeah, good characters. Yeah, there's all these people watching like proper series, and we're watching that. So yeah. Anyway, where were we?
We were on a good start. We started with Casablanca, and we ended up at the OC somehow, which is not good. What else? Do you know what? But considering the date we are recording this show, so to give this away, listeners, it is Tuesday, the 11th of September, and of course, the other day I watched somewhat, I don't know if that's the right word, but United 9-3, which I'd never seen. And
good film.
Yeah, but you know what? Because you get so lost in the actual true story of what actually happened that day, what perhaps gets lost in that is the how they put that film together. Like I was well impressed how they did that from a production standpoint. It was very, very good, but you don't really pick up on that because, of course, the nature of what the story is. Mm.
Definitely.
Anyway. You're listening to Stu and Nick's movie review. Neil Cox's Pears. We've still got a couple more to get. Right, so winger signed from Port Vale.
Winger? Mm. Oh, of course, Gareth Ainsworth. The Wild Thing.
West Sussex seaside town.
Gareth Ainsworth. Oh. Seaside town. Worthing. Gareth Ainsworth thing.
Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah, we got there. Gareth Ainsworthing.
Is that it is a seaside town? Do you remember when Worthing spent loads of money and went from Withdean to then become Worthing?
Well, no, Withdean. They were both. No,
was that right?
No,
There
were two separate clubs.
But didn't the owner who was at Withdean leave Withdean and go to Worthing?
Oh, he put all his money into Worthing, yeah. And Withdean just
a nice ground down there. I remember going down there.
It was very, very nice. I love the fact that you're not sure that Worthing is a seaside town. However, Japan has apparently got 4 land borders.
I just got confused.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I actually worked for a Japanese company for 10 years.
That's a partridgeism, if ever I heard one. Right.
Even more worrying.
Yes, right. Finally, the one for the wrestling fans, if you love the graps. Edge's nickname, you won't know this. And then the second half is a Norwegian midfielder who went on to manage Wolves.
Stanley Solbakken.
Was he Norwegian or was he Danish? Oh dear.
Norwegian.
He was Norwegian, wasn't he? Why did I suddenly just question that? I don't know. He was my brother's favourite ever Wimbledon player. Wimbledon player.
He was all right, but Wally Badir was one of my favourites. Wally Badir, goal at Man U.
Pork pie, sausage roll, mushroom panini, £4. Right, put that all together. Edge's nickname is the rated R superstar, so the answer in its entirety will be the rated R star. Oh, you see, I was waiting for you to say it. The rated R superstar Lee Solbakken.
No.
Right, moving swiftly on. Goal of the Month. We ran our Goal of the Month competition on Facebook. Video put together by Mark Hendricks. Thank you very much for that, Mark. And you'll be surprised to hear that of the 5 goals, 4 of which were scored by Joe Pigott. Joe Pigott won. But it was his goal away. His goal at home to Sunderland, the volley that won by pretty much a landslide. So no surprises there.
Wasn't my choice.
No, I know you went, but do you know what? You always go for a different one to the main popular opinion. I've noticed this.
I just thought the header was. I don't think that was an easy goal. I think, all right, there weren't none of them were easy goals, but I think that was a great header against a Premiership goalkeeper.
Which is fair enough. That's
how I rated it.
But I just thought the quality of that volley to run onto it and side foot it was
it weren't bad.
Outstanding technique. So, yeah, a worthy winner. Well done, Joe. And we have some other quick things to touch on. The ladies.
Great league, now, well done.
They've had a mixed start to the season.
They have.
They have. But they host Ipswich on Sunday, 2 o'clock kickoff at Carshalton. They've moved from Sutton United this season. We haven't touched on them yet. So they've gone to Coulston Avenue. Carshalton Athletic is their new venue for home matches. And this Sunday, 16th of September, they host Ipswich Town. So get down to that one if you can. And also, if you're listening to this on Thursday morning, Don's Trust SGM to discuss the stadium and selling shares in the AFCW PLC to help fund parts of the new stadium. Important meeting if you can make it down to Kingsmeadow for 7:30pm on Thursday evening. If you're waiting to listen to this show on the Friday, or if you're travelling to the game on Saturday morning, or whenever it is you might listen to it, you've missed it. So, sucks to be you. Scunthorpe. That is who we are playing on Saturday. They haven't won since the opening day, Stu. They've sacked their manager in the meantime. They've got Stuart McCall, as we mentioned earlier, and they are conceding goals at an alarming rate. I think they've conceded 16 in the league so far this season. That's absurd. So surely we can score more than once against this lot, surely.
Yeah, you'd think so. You can see obviously why they sacked their manager. McCall's managed to get back. He's done all right at Bradford, but he had a decent budget at Bradford, didn't he? I think Scunthorpe, they remind me of like a team like Walsall, where a bit of money been spent. They haven't really done it. They've had what, three good tries now. Still kept players like Morris and stuff like that. So still got a decent squad, but probably players that could probably do moves at the moment. So good time to play them. Always decent games from memory when Scunthorpe come down to our place. Always goals, and just bound to be a 0-0.
We did have 1-0 with them, I think, in the FA Cup, if you remember.
I do. We then went and won 1-0 back at their place. We were a League Two team.
Yeah, as you were trying to think of the name of their stadium, which has also completely escaped me as well. This is brilliant.
Granford Park.
Granford Park, there we go.
Yeah, I remember Scunthorpe well.
Yes, Luke Moore scored a winner in the replay, didn't he?
Yeah, it's got a great pub. It's got a great pub right near the way. It's got a KFC drive-through, and it's got a really nice pub. And I remember it very well because beginning of last season, I ordered a pie and chips, and a whole pie come out on my plate. I've never seen anything like it. There you are. Bit of useless information for you.
Movies, films, is there anything, wrestling, is there anything else we can talk about? Maybe.
I'm in a good mood. We've won a game. We're 13th in the league. We're going to get the playoffs.
Yeah, all right, whatever. You did say some of the players that Scunthorpe have got. Josh Morris is one that stood out for many, many years. Lee Novak scored against us, didn't he, last season? Matty Lund joined from Rochdale. They've got Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, who was Manchester United youngster. Their squad, I think, looking at it, lacks a bit of depth, but they've got quality in that first 11. So it's still a tough game, isn't it? It's still a hard game for us.
It's a tough game, but it's one you'd be thinking, they conceded 16 goals. They've obviously got a little bit of a weak back line, haven't they? So, hey, look, we need to start. The chances we're creating, we need to start putting these ball away, don't we? So, hey, Saturday could be the day.
So what is your prediction then?
I think it's going to be a 2-0 win.
Oh, wow. That is optimistic. I think they do score goals as well as conceding them, so I'm going to say it's going to be, because we don't score more than one a game, 1-1 is my prediction. I think it is every week, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you will get it right eventually.
One time I will. Other game in League One, there's one standout fixture, of course, this weekend, which is first versus second, is it not? Peterborough versus Portsmouth. If it's not first versus second, it's like first versus third at least. It must be the top two, surely.
It is, and I must admit, I've just closed down my. I thought I'd closed down my league fixtures. There was one that sort of stood out for me a little bit, was the Wycombe versus Oxford. Just because both of them haven't had a great start to the season, and that's sort of like a bit of a local derby.
Yeah, that was coming.
It's sort of close, isn't it?
Well, it's closer than what was Portsmouth and Plymouth, yeah.
And also Walsall Doncaster, just because Walsall have had a great start to the season. I think they're still unbeaten, if I remember correctly, because they got a late equaliser at Barnsley on the weekend.
Yeah, incredible conditions it looked like as well at Barnsley.
Oh, anyone that's been to Barnsley will not be as surprised to see that. The only time I ever went to Barnsley, I think I saw all 4 seasons in one afternoon. Yeah, we're part of the world, that place. But yeah, Walsall, you just have to all the stuff about Walsall not having a big budget. Apparently, one of the weaker budgets in the league, and they're doing a Shrewsbury, aren't they?
Yeah, but they've been shrewd with the players they brought in. Some non-league players there, haven't they? That have come in. So
yeah, it shows the talent's there, doesn't it?
It does indeed. But anyway, that's probably us done for now, Stu. Well, we have. We do have a couple of things to tidy up, so you'll have to bear with me. Just talk amongst yourselves, listeners, whilst I try and find this. So basically, as I referenced at the start of the show last week, we did our 90s themed entrance music song competition, whatever you want to call it. And I just need to get the names of two people that were first in with the correct entrance. The song, of course, was The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, Weezer, from their self-titled Blue album, as I referred to it back in the day. And it was... M. Sturgy Boy got in touch with us, didn't he? He did. To say so I'll have to find it. It's taking ages, Stu. Say something whilst I do this. Help me out. What's going on? This is pre-recorded. We could just edit this out, but we're not going to.
That's what I thought. I thought you could edit it out anyway, so I'll leave it to it.
No.
I didn't know that song, to be honest with you, but it's been quite nice, our little 90s theme, isn't it?
Is that it? Is that what you've got?
I have to say, I'm watching the England game, as we've said we record this on Tuesday night, and I've just seen Jack Butland do one of the worst passes.
Oh, it's terrible. And then he missed. The Switzerland player missed.
Oh, it's just... What is this thing at the moment? You know, I get goalkeepers have got to play out from the back, and, you know, it's sort of like... But we've got goalkeepers that can't kick a football, which is worrying.
It's a bit of a handicap, yeah.
Well, Peter Cech at Arsenal being asked to play the ball out, and he can't. I just find it madness. I don't know. We have the high press. We have the playing out from the back. We have all these sort of tactics brought in, and you just think, crikey, everyone plays the same way. It's just such a boring. So boring. There's so many more ways you can play football, as we all found out when back in the day we just knocked it along to fash.
Thanks for that, Stu. Right, M. Sturgy Boy at Dog with a Bone and Matt Lawton at Matt Law 2 were correct with their answers. So well done, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. And same again this week, if you can name... There's also a not-so-subtle link with this week's theme song. If you can guess or work out what that link is, if we can get away with it, then please do so. Other than that, thank you very much, Stu, for joining me.
No problem.
Updates from Scunthorpe will be on our social media at 9YRS podcast on Saturday, so Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as well. The AFC Wimbledon Business Club will be meeting up this week. They are going on a murder mystery weekend in Glasgow with former Leicester City centre-half Jerry Taggart. We'll be back next Thursday reviewing that Scunthorpe game. Hannah Kitcher will be on Love Sport Radio for the Wimbledon Fan Show this Sunday. All that's left to say for me is I was much distracted during this week's show, if you haven't noticed, because the England game is on, and Alex Scott is doing some great punditry, as she always does. At least I assume she is. I was trying to lip read. Alexa Bliss back first, milk last, and we will speak to you again next week.
Got away, Lord, I could spend this whole damn night dreaming about the sweeter time. Lord, you got your high school sweetheart, they're breaking all the rules. They're fogging up their windows and making love without a groove. Oh, they just packed